Sure.
Welcome to another edition of POS, the podcast where we find pieces of shit and things that probably do have pieces of shit in them. I think everything living has a piece of shit somewhere in them. So just live your life knowing it that way. No guest today, just me and Bobby. Merry Christmas, Bobby.
It's a little early, buddy.
Not early. It's not early to get in the festive spirit. It's never
Oh,
too
no, no,
early.
no. I know, but I don't. Do you wish Merry Christmas until the day of Christmas?
I say it because people go, it's a little early, and I make them feel weird. Then we don't have more of a longer conversation. That's why I do it. I say Merry Christmas then. I say Happy Thanksgiving in October. I say Happy Halloween in September because that way people go, oh, fuck. I like to watch people. I can learn a lot about people and how you do that. When people complain that something fun is coming, oh, God, not yet. It's like, oh, Christmas is like 3 weeks away. Yeah. It's just not that great that in 3 weeks we're going to have this time of celebration and family. I was like, all right, okay, I'm not ready. Like, then go stretch, asshole. Like, it doesn't
Yeah, I in
be
college I
happier.
got it. Like I got it in college, not celebrating until after you were done with finals because it was like then I can relax, and it was more made it more exciting for me. But now, like I saw somebody melt down because somebody was like, "If I see your Christmas lights up before Thanksgiving, I'm gonna yell at you." And he was like, "Please yell at me because I've had a rough piece of year, so I'm looking for anything to bring me the slightest joy." And like I'm all for that. Get into the spirit. We could all use that. But I was just more asking, do you say Merry Christmas before Christmas? It
You
wasn't.
say whatever you want, whenever you want. Nowadays, if you can say you're a they when you're a one thing, you can say Merry Christmas in July.
I mean, that's probably when he was born. For being
I
real.
mean, I don't even look at Christmas as religious. It's just a time when people are like smiley and then you get some gloves. Because every year I get gloves
That
my whole
was
life.
that was the last straw with a
Gloves?
cousin of mine. Yeah, we do like the you get one family member,
Okay.
and the limit was $50, and like everybody pushes the limit. That's kind of the game. Like how far above the limit can you get without getting called out? And she got me a $10 pair of gloves one year,
You
and I was
shouldn't
like, all
have the
right,
money.
that no, she did. She has
Oh,
a very well paying job. She's single. I wonder why. Um, I'm just saying she's a heartless bitch, Pat. You give
I
somebody
know, but
$10
you
gloves,
weren't just saying that. I was like, okay, why? I don't know why. Gloves
then
doesn't make
you
me think you're a
then
bitch.
you book entertainment at a college, and you have a cousin who works in entertainment, and you're like, well, once you get past to work at colleges, I'll book you. And then you're like, hey, I just headlined a college, and they're like, I can't really do anything. It's like, so you've been a bitch all these years. I was right.
Your selfishness does dominate most of your thoughts. It's
I don't
not a
know, man.
bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being selfish. We need that as entertainers. But like, whenever you think someone is awful, it usually stems to one thing that you think they might have promised you.
Oh, I love this school that some Asian shot up because he couldn't take bad grades so much, but I don't love my
Virginia Tech,
cousin.
ladies and gentlemen. Ding, ding, ding. Do I win? Do I win? Because there aren't too many Asian shooters.
It was great. Like 5 years in a row, they got to the championship game and blew it, and it would just be like, yes.
For football or basketball, they play well
Football.
too. But football, yeah, with the Michael Vick
Basketball
years.
recently they've gotten good, yeah, but
Well, they yeah, recently now again, probably like early mid 2000s, they also had a strong basketball program too.
I always forget with your accent that you're actually a basketball fan as well.
With my
I assume with
accent.
the gruffness of your voice, you're just a hockey guy. Yeah, it's not your fault, but
It's the
like
one
you
sport
just
I don't
come
watch.
across that way. No, no, me neither. And like I look like a hockey guy. Like I look like the guy who'd be like, "Let's go watch the Pens" or whatever they're called. But we're both basketball guys, which is kind of funny.
I grew up on college basketball because UConn became Jim Calhoun's first years were like when I was in high school and college and a little bit. So like before that, I didn't when I was growing up, I didn't root for UConn, but the Big East was this area. So I gravitated, I was 10 when I became a giant Georgetown fan because of Patrick Ewing. And watching the Georgetown St. John's teams was like incredible. And even Pittsburgh had a great team, Villanova with Ed Pinckney and stuff like that.
Those were like the glory years of those teams
Right.
too.
That was when the Big East was building, and UConn didn't really have anything yet. They got Cliff Robinson at one point, and then that made them good. And then they got Doron Sheffer and people like that. But that was the first time Calhoun was getting names in that weren't from Connecticut. I mean, that was and the big one was that UConn didn't give a scholarship to Vin Baker, and he went to the University of Hartford instead. And then had a decent NBA career, but then a lot of shit happened to him. But like, it was crazy that they like, how are you not going to get this guy, the biggest star probably to come out of living here besides Scott Burrell, living in Connecticut, and not put him on UConn was crazy.
Yeah, I grew up. We lived about 20 minutes from the University of Memphis, and you could get $5 tickets, and it was right when Calipari came. So kind of the same thing you were going with through Georgetown. That was the good years for Memphis. So we went from getting $5 tickets to like $50 nosebleed seats.
I remember
But
when the reason why I knew Memphis was because of Penny Hardaway, and that was like, and that was incredible. Like, just also you're like, what the fuck is a Penny Hard? What the fuck's an Anthony? You're like, whoa! And then they had a little claymation Anthony Hardaway, like when he signed when he got to the NBA. It was great.
didn't Letterman make it a joke and have to like? Didn't Letterman make a joke and have to like apologize
I
about the
don't
spelling
remember
of his
that.
name?
Did he? I
Yeah, I
probably.
think it was something along the lines of your mom doesn't even know how to spell your name.
That's funny. It's still way better than Don Imus and the nappy headed hose of Rutgers women's team. That's my favorite one ever.
Yeah, and like I still don't think he meant it the way it came across. I think he just
Maybe
meant
not. It's still not in term of endearment.
no, by no stretch of the imagination. It's just like one of those things where you've done a lot of things in one direction. You need to just watch what you say because people are going to assume.
There was some, I don't remember which one it was. There was a movie a couple years earlier, like a black comedy, where they said snappy nappy dugout. They meant like a black woman's pussy, but it was black people saying that. So I only knew that as nappy and snappy. So when he said nappy headed hose, I was like, "Oh, pussies!" And they're like, "No, it's their hair." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, I just
mine went worse."
yeah, I don't know.
She got the
What was
nappy
better than
dugout.
Imus? Oh yeah, Letterman and Anthony. He
Yeah,
grew up like a few blocks from where I lived in Memphis, actually. Real suburbs, if you
Anthony.
know what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she lived in a good area.
You did. Then it got bad before we left.
Nice, but it's always good to always get to know you were the problem. No, I'm kidding. It's like
When Bradford moved into the neighborhood, we were like, it's time to go.
gotta fucking take off. So we'll get out of the sports thing for the five people. Well, before that, you want to talk about me with my knowledge? So I was on Chaz and AJ again on Monday, and AJ actually needed a personal day, so I filled it. It was just Chaz and I, and they do a thing at the end of the show
What do
where
they call it when it's just you and him?
Chaz and AJ in the morning
They don't
filling in
call it
as
like
Betos.
chotes.
No, but and I will say
Time
thank
for some Chazzy Oats.
I will say thank you to the people that were calling it. At the very end, they play like this little music in the background. And they kind of like say, like, what's the last thing you have to say? Like everyone says something, and then like people call in and just yell out dumb shit, or whatever, and they play music in the background. And you figure on a show like that, those two have been together for 20 years. People are like, bring AJ back. Yeah, this guy stink. I'm waiting for all that, but it was the exact opposite. Like one guy goes, Chaz and Pat has a good ring to it. AJ, stay home, and I'm just like, not saying anything and it's awkward. And then like someone else like Chaz and Oates would sound better. It's like Pat's the best when he's on here. He should be. People are calling and saying that, so it's nice. It's whatever. But
That's awesome.
it's awesome and wonderful. But if AJ ever left and they said you're now filling in, the hate I would get from all the people that have been listening to AJ for 20, even if they love me, you know how that stuff goes. It would take me a while to do it. So it's nice to say it for one day. But if they were like AJ, even if they said if AJ retired or Chaz retired and I filled in and took over, they would be like, it could literally come on TV and say, I'm retiring. I've been doing this 20 years. I want to stop now. I'm happy. Please listen to the other guys. They'd go, he was forced out by corporate. Pat must know somebody. Like it's always that shit.
Well,
So
you are always bragging before the show how you know somebody in the corporate at that
yeah,
radio
so
station.
much.
So
Yeah, it's not Chaz just texting me 2 hours before, like, can you come in now? But anyway, so at 9:40 they do a stump the chump, where it's usually AJ, but like people could call in, or they have someone else on the show that might know something. And if you make up a question and you can stump the chump, you win whatever tickets. And so AJ Chaz had messaged me the night before and said, "What do you know? Like you're gonna be AJ." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." I'm like, I don't know. I know WWE real well. He's like, I don't know if we're gonna do that. And I'm like, so I named like a couple other things. So then he sends me the rundown later on, and it says at 9:40 WWE trivia with Pat, and you could win, Metallica tickets. So people actually were excited. It's not like a shittier thing. It's a decent concert. Um, so when they started doing it, I was like, it's gonna be people asking like super specific things, and I'm gonna look like an idiot, but whatever. But like the first
you
one right
need
away,
one solid phone screener in that moment. Like people don't realize how big and important a phone screener is, and
Oh,
that's
Phil's the best.
arguably
Yeah,
like everybody knows at Compound how great Garrett is.
yeah.
But that's the part of the scenes they don't see is him screening phone calls and how brilliant he is at that. Because you need somebody to set you up, and you were just about to say Phil sounds like he knows what he's
No,
doing.
Phil definitely knows what he's doing, but at the same time, Phil doesn't know what I know. So, and they're not worried about giving away the tickets. It's funny if I don't know anything. You know what I mean? So that part's not bad. It's just about the dumb shit. But Phil's really good at that kind of thing. Anyway, so the first one they do is they're like WWE trivia. So like, all right, the first question, the guy goes, so what was Macho Man's name in Spider-Man, that movie he was in? And I'm like, well, that's not a WWE question. I even nerded out. Chaz looked at me like I'm such a wrestling nerd. Right. It's funny. We'll get to that. I didn't know, but Phil did right away. But so all I said was, I mean, I'll try to answer your question. We did say WWE. That is a Marvel movie. And more importantly, he was with WCW when he did that. And Chad's like, all right, shut up. He's like, are you going to do this? I'm like, yeah. Every time that they ask something dumb, I will break down how dumb they are. And then we'll get to it. Before I can say anything, Phil goes, oh, so. But I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. And he's like, Phil knew. I'm like, yeah. Phil goes, yeah, I know Marvel. If you do Marvel questions, I will get it. It's like, so then someone goes, I got you now. Who was the only African American to ever challenge the Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania? I'm like, Mark Henry, move on. Like, what are we doing? And the guy's like, oh shit. The guy's like, damn it. And then it's like, what was the tag team? Oh, what was the first tag team Stone Cold was on? And I go, Stone Cold? Or do you mean the guy, Steve Williams, when he was wrestling in WCW? And he's like, I go, do you mean the Hollywood Blondes? And he's like, all right, whatever. So I just started like nailing through that. But the one that beat me proves that I am not open-minded, Bobby. I learned I'm not open-minded. I thought I was. They asked me, a woman called up and said, or a guy called up and said, who held the title for 28 years? And I'm like, wow, 28 years. The only person who's held it for a long time like that is Bruno Sammartino. It wasn't 28 years, a long period of time. Maybe you're saying more than just one title. Do you mean and all that? So I'm running through, and then Chaz even goes, well, could it be Hulk Hogan? I'm like, haha, very funny, Chaz. And I'm like, even wrote down, like, it goes Bruno, then it goes Pedro Morales, then it goes Hulk Hogan, then it goes Roman Reigns. And he's like, Jesus Christ, Pat. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, well, I wasn't loved. It's fine. But then I'm like, you know what, man? I don't know. And he goes, Fabulous Moolah. I'm like, woman? Oh, come on, man. I wasn't going woman. And he's like, well, why not? And I'm like, I guess I'm not open-minded. But I did say, if you ever read her biography, good for you, sir, for promoting a woman that pimped out other women and passed them on to bookers to basically raped when they were young and advantage to use them in matches. So I'm very happy that you called up to win tickets to your Sin show. Enjoy Metallica. The guy's like,
Whoa, brother! Don't slander Metallica like that.
Yeah, so
That's
the
all
guy
I got. I don't have an impression.
just did it. You just do that.
Hooah!
You just put your hand up, like he was always raising his arm like it hurt. Like I don't know. Yeah, but he like did this, but he would never put it all the way up and go. Ooh. I don't know why.
Who's the guy who pointed at the ceiling?
Well, I mean, there was always people. There's one now that does it.
What's his name?
Roman Reigns.
Okay, who did it
He's
before
not pointing
him?
at the ceiling. He's saying we're the ones.
My buddy does it whenever I say something
Oh,
disrespectful to him.
Sabu.
Okay.
ECW. He would lean back and that's Sabu, pointing to the heavens. It's like it's like.
I was just curious because I wanted to know how he was insulting me.
It wasn't insulting you. He was saying he's number one.
Oh no, there's somebody he's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like I'm gonna hurt you.
Then Sabu was the homicidal, genocidal.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay,
I just wanted to know what I was dealing with.
He was ready to kill you. Like he was the one that really started all the chair and table shit.
I hate to put you into a pressure cooker 13 minutes into the episode, Pat, but the question remains. After you did your great rape knowledge joke about this woman who pimped out other women, confirming everything I believe about women, did you then say, you know what she's not allowed to eat as a result? Silk City hot sauce.
No.
And if you want some Silk City hot sauce, use promo code POS.
Someone told me they don't have badass Jew in stock.
Interesting. I may
Someone
have to talk
messaged
to
that on my Facebook thing today. Oh no, they messaged it on our YouTube channel.
It feels like if they didn't discontinue the line.
Sorry. As we're talking, I get a message from Chaz. Can you come in tomorrow from 8 to 10? Like, all right.
Yes, dude.
It's becoming like I'm there Friday too.
What time's this call in and I can say whatever?
It's not a call in. I have to be there.
No. That last part you were explaining at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, that won't be me. I'm not filling in for AJ. I'm just the third mic.
But I'm saying when people get to call in and say stuff.
Oh, that's like, so if the show ends at 10, like 9:50, 9:55,
Okay, I just want to call in and say some stuff.
yeah, you get like 2 seconds. And you can be like, "Pat's the best," or like, "You're gay," and like they try a lot. Most people just yell, "AJ sucks." Like, it's a lot of, it's a lot. And AJ just goes like, "Shut up!" And like he just yells back. He plays into it. It's funny, whatever. So,
Pat's
but
the best. Yeah, was right.
that means I was on Monday. I'll be on Wednesday, and then Friday is the toy drive, and I'll be there from 5:30 to 10 at the toy drive,
That's awesome.
which they do at Jordan's Furniture, the It place. Like, it's so like it's this furniture place. It's insane. Like they do the show there every year. They have a zip line throughout the building. They have like a whole kids like playland. Each store he has a different thing. So families, when they're going, aren't bored with just the furniture, and the whole family can go. It's a brilliant cut, and he does really well with it. But the amount of money he spends on this shit is crazy. But the last couple of years, that's where the toy drive is. So there's a concert going on at 5:30 in the morning. Like NRBQ will be there.
That's pretty awesome.
So,
I like when business members do things like, or like business owners do things like that they don't have to.
Nope.
Like, he's not making more money off of that. I mean, you could argue with through marketing or whatever, sure, maybe, but like it's more just about like, hey, I know this sucks. Let's make it not so bad for you and your kids.
He was on the phone with us on Monday because he it just being up that early. I don't remember days anymore. Like I have to get an Uber too, so I have to get up at 4 to make sure I'm getting an Uber because in my area it's not like there's cars. It's not like you're a city. It's not like there's cars always just ready to go. So I have to get up early enough to make sure I'm there. So I always get to like half hour early. So you leave at 10. So I'm there for like 5.5 hours, whatever. But like anyway, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's just 2 hours. But the guy called in because they. Long story short, I know people don't want to hear me talk about me being on the radio. It's weird, but like they're doing a thing. AJ, I think I told you, did a thing where he had to be locked in a box for 24 hours. And they're raising money for Thanksgiving, whatever, to help with the toy drive. They did around then. What they do is they always, every year they also add like a staple, like a, not a staple. Oh, what the fuck's the word? A stipulation. And like, here's the thing you have to do. If and every time it happens, you donate more money, whatever. So for every $1,000 that was raised while he was in that box, he'd have to come out and go into this place K&J Tree Services. They have like those bucket, the cherry pickers that go up 75 feet, and he'd have to go up. And there's audio of him. And it's not joke screaming like he's freaking out. Like it's high. It's 7 stories high. It's also the bucket shakes. It's terrifying. He hated it. So everyone's been making fun of him. Chaz has all the audio. They play it all the time. Him screaming. So I was on there one day and made the joke, people should raise money to make Chaz do it at the toy drive. So people started sending money in, and they got the amount. They want $5,000. So now Chaz has to do it. But then Scott Haney, who's like a really well-known weather guy in the area, and he calls it all the time, they said, Scott, would you ever go in there in a bucket? And he's like, if I did, you'd have to raise more than that. It had to be double. They'd have to get $10,000. Well, they did. People called it.
That's why he's the best known weather guy in the area, because he's great at bits like fucking that. Yeah, good on him, dude.
Now and then they were like, well, we don't have 2 trucks, and Scott's got to leave at a certain time. This is kind of set up, but the K&J guy calls up and goes, well, I guess we're bringing a second truck. So, and then they're like, well, we probably can't fit it in the parking lot. I'm like, dude, it's a monstrous lot. Like, no, there's regulations. And then that's when the guy called up, the guy who owns it, and goes, we got the room. We're moving things now. You guys are going up. And then he goes, I'll go up if you raise money. And Chaz's like, no one's going to donate for you because you're into it. It's like, nobody, Chaz doesn't want to go. Scott Haney doesn't want to go. That guy who's like, fuck yeah, put me in that. No one's going to pay any money.
No one's going to give money for that. Yeah.
No, that's what I said. I go, I'm real happy no one likes me and I'm not popular. I ain't going in anything. But, so yeah.
All right. Here's the wrinkle this year, AJ. For every $1,000 we raise, you have to go for 30 minutes with James Dean.
Nice. Not the sausage guy, but yes, the sausage guy.
And guess what? He's got full consent.
You've got to
put. It doesn't really matter if he does anyway, but he's got full consent.
You're putting on a Riley Reid wig, and he doesn't know the difference.
Nor would he care if he did. It's more about the power than it is the physicalness for him.
The other person doesn't exist in James Dean world. He's just going. Even when he's in a gangbang, he stands out. You know what I mean? James Dean, no matter what, is the star. He's Jordan, and everybody else is Bill Wennington. That's all it is. It's a bunch of fucking chumps hanging out, hoping for the best. There was
I saw one video where he convinced his girlfriend to let him tie her to the bed, and then he didn't even fuck her. All of his friends did. Yet somehow he was still the focal point of the scene.
he's he's just yelling, "Do it better." he's just he's just being rude. He's forcing himself on the ropes. Yeah. But
Do
wait,
you know the facial abuse videos, right?
I know those are things. But what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? Like come on the face, or do you mean
I
like?
mean, that was like a website, and for a while it
Oh, I
was
don't know anything about that. You
like
don't
a
mean
lot
like
of girls.
abusing the face, like fucking the face, not abusing the face.
Yeah, like these guys things were like they were really mean to the girls and rough and
Oh, skull
like to the
fucking.
point. Yeah, and then like it came out that like they were bad and mean behind the scenes too.
What? Guys who
And
skull fuck for money are mean? What? What is how? That doesn't make any sense.
one day I'm hanging out
Guy
with
who
somebody.
gets a whole business around finding young, impressionable women who need money and then fucking their heads is not a good man. Get out of here. Get out of
One
here. What?
one day I'm hanging out with somebody. He just shows me a picture. He's like, "Do you think this chick's that hot?" And I was like, "She's all right." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm friends with so and so, who's the dude from that website. He's just friends with him in real life." And it's
Yeah.
like, how could you be friends with that guy knowing what he does?
Because idiots want to know fame.
That's true
Even
too.
though it's not famous, the fact that you're friends with that guy, and in that mind, he goes, "Yeah, Bobby knows who that guy is," and that guy probably tells him, "Fuckface guy, do you know Anthony Cumia?" He's like, "Well, I know the guy who works with him." So you've probably been the other one. That guy just brags about people he knows.
Okay, so now here's my question: how do I ask this person? Because there's one specific video I can't find anymore, and I know this dude's got the archives, right?
Oh, the guy, fuckface guy,
I'm just making a joke.
fuckface guy. I know, but I will bet you he doesn't have archives.
That's probably a good point too. He probably doesn't even have a computer.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
probably
sure
all
these are
cell
just
phone
shot on
upload.
a phone
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
He doesn't have
Um,
every time he has to put a new app on, like he wants to do the AI app, so he has to get rid of the videos so he can make room.
speaking of,
Well, before we go any further, I know what you're doing. I know why, if you had to mention a porn person just in that story and put him in the AJ box thing, why you mentioned James Dean. Because you can't stay away from the 6 degrees of separation of Lindsay Lohan. Like, because they were in that movie together.
oh yeah, that was a great movie.
It's not a great movie.
I enjoyed
You know what's a
certain
great
scenes in
movie?
that movie over and over and over again.
Before you get into your thing, put a pin in what you're going to say.
Love This Christmas.
I have not seen that yet. But what I have seen is Troll. Fucking Troll. I am telling everyone right now, watch Troll on Netflix. It's not the old stupid Troll thing. It's not anything else. It's the don't. Why are you rolling your eyes and looking around? Troll is the greatest movie of all fucking times.
Go on.
Well, you're being quiet. You looked around like you were mad.
Oh, I was trying to see if I had an open screen to open the internet and see what Troll was about, but I don't have the capability in the program we're using.
You don't need it because you don't want to be. If you see it, you'll get sucked in. It's fucking okay. So it's a Norway movie. Okay, so it's Norwegian, and it's basically like if Norwegians made Jurassic Park, but with a giant mountain troll instead of stupid, dopey dinosaurs. It's fucking great. And Bobby, here's the part you're gonna like. So the troll.
I've already liked it all so far.
Right, and I'm not going to spoil anything. It's a good story. I know I'm being silly with saying troll and whatever. I fucking really enjoy it. If you just like stupid, like Jurassic Park shit, but better action shit, and you can handle reading sometimes. Sometimes I've had people say to me, "I'm not reading." I'm like, "Fuck, go. What are you for? I'm not reading." Like you're staring. It's just you're still you're absorbing information as pictures. Why can't you do it in words? I've never read and then looked at a picture and not been able to do both at the same time.
No, I get that. The reason why I don't like subtitles is I don't watch a lot. I listen to a lot of things.
Right. If you're gonna,
so that's where I run into issues. In like, or I'll play a video game and listen to a TV show.
Understand?
I'm driving and I'll watch
YouTube
TV.
videos. I'll do that when I'm watching podcasts and shit like that.
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
Andrew Schultz just had somebody decent on. I forget who, but I was watching that.
Mr.
And,
Beast.
Oh, Ari Shafir when he had him on. I was watching that one. That was really good. But when I was watching like that, I can listen and fuck around my phone or do whatever. You won't want to do anything else when you're watching Troll. Okay, so I'm not gonna spoil Troll. But here's the best part. By the part you're gonna like, because this made me laugh. So in the Norwegian folklore and tale of trolls. And it's like a giant mountain gets, and the CGI actually is very good. You know what I mean? Like the eye, all that stuff.
Yeah, it works enough that you don't get taken out of it.
No, you enjoy it, and they don't show it too much, but it's enough. But the great part is that in the folklore, the reason why it's so mad is because like the Christianity tried to run them away, the trolls, and get rid of them. So the giant troll thing can smell Christian blood, and that's who he eats. Just people with Christian blood. So there's a little kid, and he's staring up like, and everyone's like, run. But the troll kind of looks down at him and goes, and like saves him because he's not Christian. But this one soldier was praying, chomp, fuck you, I eat Christian blood. I'm like, I like that. I think that's great.
Okay, I agree. It's a good premise. However, if you change the religion just slightly,
Yep.
people would be so angry.
And that's why I watched that movie on Friday during the day. And then I went I went to go do a gig with Dan Brown in Rhode Island. And I was doing like, I was closing the show, so doing whatever I wanted, running my new stuff. But there's one point where I don't know why, I just said, has anybody seen Troll? And I see Dan on the side. Dan like always says, he goes, it's insane that you could just do that. You literally go up with an idea, or we have a conversation in the car, and you walk on stage and you don't write anything down, and you have a bit. So I did the whole dumb thing about the Troll stuff, and I go, and that's basically what Kanye was talking about. And the whole place explodes. The dumbest punchline, but I knew I had it, whatever. He's like, fuck you.
I thought you were going to go, ladies and gentlemen, have you seen the movie Troll? Because coming to the stage right now, Dan Brown.
Yeah, I wasn't hosting. Fuck you. Anyway, it's like,
I thought this was your showcase show.
No. Friday I was headlining a place called the Galactic Theater in Rhode Island.
I've heard of that.
Tiny little place, but it can hold like 50, 60 people. They have bands and stuff. But you know what? I think they said it was like 80 was in there. But they pack it out, whatever it is. It's totally a rockabilly hipster fucking place. There's like silent movies playing on the walls. And weird owners were cool as fuck. I was told that I had to have the grilled cheese. That the grilled cheese is the greatest grilled cheese.
I've heard that.
And that's what
people were last week.
Yeah, and then several people told me this. So we got there early. I ordered the grilled cheese. Was the sandwich delicious? Yes. Was it grilled cheese? No. That fucker was toast, baby. That was toast. That's why it was awesome. And what they did, they have tomato in it. I'm like, I don't know if I want tomato. Like, oh, you should try it. Because I don't like tomatoes. When you bite into it, the whole tomato flies out. They dice the tomato and they mix it into the cheese. Fucking awesome. It's almost like eating a pizza inside it. But the cheese was really good, not like saucy. I'm telling you, with the bread, it was a great sandwich. And I was also
don't like tomato.
I get that, but I don't even know if you can order without. You probably can. But it was amazing. It was wonderful. But there was a sign out front. I took a picture, put it on my Instagram that said 100% no BS inside. And I was like, oh, there you go. I even took a picture and said, I guess I'm not allowed in. But then I got the sandwich and I turned to Dan and I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of fucked up. The sign says no BS. And this is Dan's like, come on, man, don't be you. And I'm like, what? He's like, you don't need to go on stage with this. They're nice people. Good show. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of lies. You know what I mean? It's kind of fucking lies.
Yeah, you got that moment and you can't get it out of your head.
And I didn't. So I when I was about to do it, I said, talk about trolls. So I stopped myself.
Oh. Have you ever seen the movie Miracle? And then we'll get back to the other
The hockey one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a scene, if you haven't seen it, where the head coach of the U.S. hockey team gives everybody a psych test. And then Jimmy Craig, the star goalie who gave up an NHL career because his mom, who died of cancer, wanted him to win a gold medal, is talking to Herb Brooks. And Herb's like, I think I'm going to bench you. And then Jimmy goes, is this because I wouldn't take your stupid fucking test? And he goes, no, I want the goalie back who wouldn't take my test. And that's kind of what I feel about you. No, I want the Oats back who would talk about the grilled cheese, who wouldn't let it go.
Well, just so you know, I've already written it and worked it out at open mic once since. So it's like,
I figured as much.
I didn't do it there because they were nice, but maybe I will do something with the idea of 100% no BS going to that place, whatever. Speaking of Jimmy, I met Jimmy.
Jimmy who?
The goalie from that movie.
No, you met Jimmy Craig?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Well, because when I was in high school and we made and we did we won our football, whatever it is, the championship. We had a big dinner or whatever, and they had speakers from the area, and Jimmy Craig was one of them. And so he came there and talked to us about winning and fucking shit like that.
That's so cool.
And then years later, I met him again when I was working for Budweiser, and they had people come talk. We had Bobby Valentine and Jimmy Craig talk to us.
That's awesome. Did he
He was a
remember
good
you?
dude. I mean, not like we didn't have like a long talk, but for the 2 minutes you spoke, he was a nice, sweet guy.
Mike Ruzioni came to Penn State and gave a talk, and
Nice.
I set it up so my dad could come because he was a Penn State employee
That's
as
cool.
well. And it's like one of 5 times he's told me he loved me in my life.
Awesome. Oh, and the other good movie, if we're done with movie thing, we're a movie show now. And I'm sure people know this, but I just watched Bullet Train. That's fucking great, man.
It's a great
It's
movie.
fucking great. It's
Honestly,
you swear it's a Guy Ritchie movie. It's not, but it's fucking great.
it's one of those movies you can just sit back and enjoy.
Yep.
If you want to try to think and figure it out what's going on, it's a fun one to do that one.
Yeah, you
And
can.
you could try to figure, you know what I mean? But like, let's be honest. I saw the plot twist coming a mile and a half away, and it didn't
I don't even
ruin
call it a plot twist, but I know
because
what
it
you
was
mean.
so obvious. Like it was so obvious that if it was intended to be a twist, it doesn't matter if you figure it out right
It was
away.
cast wonderfully.
Brilliant.
Everybody, Brad Pitt's probably one of my favorite Brad Pitt movies. I like Brad Pitt in a lot of shit, but he was great in this.
Yeah, Bill Schultz was really into this movie, or like the trailer and everything. Was like, I don't know if I should see it, and I saw it and was like, you should see this movie because you are 100% Brad Pitt in this movie.
That was great. I thought Michael Shannon was fantastic. And, he always is good and stuff. But like everybody was just
Even
cast.
without giving anything away, even the big reveal was a great casting choice, I thought.
Yes. But also, I think the heroes of this are the twins, who aren't twin, but like incredible. Their dialogue,
1000%.
background. I would watch a spin-off of how they were younger and did other shit. I would watch all that when they were doing that, when they had to chop the feet up. I would watch a whole movie on that. Those two's back and forth were incredible.
It was truly an example of like, if they hadn't been great, it wouldn't have ruined the movie. But the fact, like, it's two people who just made a movie because they decided to act so well. Like, even like, anyway, I'm just ranting like I'm fucking Siskel and Ebert.
Well, and also, no one's more handsome than Bad Bunny playing the wolf, baby. He was great as the wolf.
He did a good job. He did a very good job.
Anything,
nope,
you believed
it was
he was
perfect.
badass.
It's kind of like what they did to Batista in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, where they strategically gave him a few lines and they're like, "You're gonna nail these. People are gonna love you, and we're gonna teach you how to act before the sequel."
Exactly, and that's kind of what he's doing. And
Yeah.
Bad Bunny is he was just great on screen. Like it was really
God
good.
love him. Yeah, great movie all around.
Man's great at whatever he does. He was in WrestleMania and he stole the show. He's in a fucking movie and he did great. Only thing I didn't believe is that he was with hot women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some questions there. I'm not going to speculate because he's jacked as fuck.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure he's out.
Oh.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think Bad Bunny's out as being gay. I mean, his name
That
is
would make
Bad
sense.
Bunny.
Yeah,
bad,
but like
bad.
in MS-13, we've all heard that joke, right? What's that guy's name that does that joke?
I don't know.
Why is the rabbit crying?
Why?
Hang on a second. I gotta give this guy credit. This guy was so impactful on me doing comedy growing up. The fact that I'm blanking on his name right now isn't right. So give me 1 second just to Google.
You Google and look up, and I'm trying to figure out in my head what it is. But no, I thought that I've been watching a ton of shit like lately. Just been like, because I've just been when I'm not on shows or whatever. I've just been exhausted. I haven't been sleeping, so I'm just watching so many fucking movies. Patrol is great. That one was good. I've been watching a bunch of the Marvel shit on Disney Plus now that I got that. Like the TV shows, like WandaVision wasn't bad. It got better. I didn't think I was gonna like it. Winter Soldier and Falcon was good. I like that thing. I'm watching the Chinese one now. I forget the name of it, but you know what I mean? Chinese Marvel. That's not bad.
Wait, the Chinese Marvel? Is that the Seven Rings?
Yeah, but it's not called, it's 10 Rings, but it's not called that. It's called Shang-Chi or some shit, whatever his name is.
See, it feels like you're just being racist, but I know you're right.
No,
like if I didn't know that the 10 Rings was called Shang Li, I would think you were just being like, yeah, I'm watching that Shang Li show or whatever.
No, Shang, you're being racist. It's Shang
boy.
because in the movie he moved to America and Shang, they even make a joke with that. He said his American name was Shane because he was hiding. And the Chinese lady goes, So wait, you're in hiding and you just switched the last letter, like literally. So if your name was Michael, you'd be Mike Sell. Like,
That's pretty
what would you?
funny.
So if you were Gina, would you be Gina? He's like, no. It was, this one too has that good dialogue shit back and forth.
Al Madrigal. That's who I was
Al
thinking
Madrigal's
of.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a bit where he's coaching. He has his kids playing soccer, and the coach is a cholo gangster. And at one point, he goes to the kids, he's like, "You better play your best because you don't want to have nightmares." And his wife's like, "Go talk to the coach. This is fifth grade soccer." And he's like, "I can't, honey." And she goes, "Why not?" And he goes, "Look at his face. Why is the rabbit crying?"
There you go. Yep.
Sorry,
That
I
made
didn't.
you do comedy?
No. But honestly, they played that album like every half hour on Comedy Central Radio
Yeah.
when I was really getting into comedy. And then he was in a show I really liked as well as like, and it was like, it kind of showed you a path.
Ah, fuck.
We were talking about earlier. We were talking about borderline non-consensual sex and rough sex,
I mean,
and
yeah, I guess.
I kind of had an interesting
Timestamp. Spoiler alert for you guys who don't like this.
I had an interesting situation at Compound today.
Is this the thing you want me to remind you about?
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure I got to it. So I go out. I'm hanging with Steve and Stancil, and I come back in.
Steve,
and who's
the producer, Steve, or Stevie Lou?
Steve, the producer, Steve.
All right.
And I come back in, and who's sitting? You've been in Compound. There's a chair, and then there's a couch, right?
Yep.
And so you walk in, and you're facing the chair. Who's sitting in the chair? But To Catch a Predator's Chris Hansen.
Yeah, was he on the show today?
He was, yeah. But before we get to that, I kind of say hey to E-Rock, and I'm kind of standing there, and he goes, "You can take a seat if you want." And I go, "Not a fucking chance." And I got a laugh out of Chris Hansen.
I like that he offered you a seat.
It wasn't even like he didn't even realize what he was doing. He was being polite, like, "Hey, you could sit here," because it looked like I was giving him the air bubble, but it was more just like,
sit down for a minute. Like, fuck
yeah,
you.
not a fucking chance, Chris. I know where all the weapons are hidden in this studio.
That's crazy. They've met him before though. So
Yeah, they go way back.
Well, I know, but like that great episode where that guy kind of like a guy confessed on there, or whatever it was.
Yep,
like, yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy. Did you get an autograph? That should have been a picture. You didn't get a Chris Hansen picture?
He was on air when I left. Also, again, I wasn't on air with Chris Hansen.
I know, but you had a moment. Once I had the moment, I would have been like, "Hey, real quick, can you be scolding me in a photo? E-Rock, take it. Like that'd be funny." Like
you're thinking of it from the Chris Hansen awkwardness. I'm saying good luck explaining to anybody in your life that you have a photo with Chris Hansen because he was on your radio show.
That's so funny. Like if you should have been sitting like with your hands behind your back and then Chris Hansen going like this, and that'd be a great photo.
It's funny until you're like trying to adopt a kid, and then it's not funny anymore.
Why? Chris Hansen's a guy. You can easily.
I could probably get him on the phone. Yeah, that's true too. He's a good dude.
Look it up on Compound Media. He was there.
It is weird though when you see somebody like that and you want to ask him a bunch of questions, but you can't.
Like, how much do you love pedophilia?
Well, no, like, is it true you gave up the show because of the lack of convictions? So, like, all you were doing was kind of glorifying pedophilia. Like, that's the rumor that's out there.
Because no, my own convictions, not those convictions. The catering wasn't good enough.
Turns out when Jared's offering you a fresh 15, he doesn't mean 15-inch new sub from Subway. He means something completely different, Bob.
A kid with a 15-inch penis. No.
Now the chair was on the other ass, if you know what I'm saying.
I would like, the only question I want to ask him is that is he upset by the new term instead of saying pedophile? Is that minor attracted, whatever it's called, a person, like the map? I'm the map. 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 That's a great. I want to make every pedophile sing that when they get arrested. That's the photo they have to do. Yeah. So instead of having to register a sex offender, that's your ringtone. So every time that you get anywhere and someone rings your phone, people know you're a pedophile.
That'd be rough.
So's fucking a kid, dude.
But here's what you're not considering.
No, I'm not considering anything with kid fucking.
Kids love Dora.
No.
So they're going to hear the map song and be like, "Oh, shit, I should go hang out with that guy."
Oh, you quickly teach kids, hey, the map song is wrong and Mexicans are illegal.
Then they're gonna turn on Dora and start crying and be like,
No one's watching Dora anymore. How old that show is? It's way gone. That's like saying, oh, the kids are watching like Mr. Hooper on Sesame Street. He's been dead for 30 fucking years. Um, that's awesome. You met Chris Hansen.
"Yeah, it was pretty cool."
I did.
I
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you were doing something.
I was changing the subject. So
Shoot.
if you have something on, oh, I
Nope.
was just telling you about my weekend.
Yeah, you go. You do that, then I'll do mine. That's all I was doing. You go first.
So I did a rough one Thursday.
Rough as in rough crowd, rough for you. What?
Everybody. So it was a private gig. Gino was hired for by the bar. That was throwing the holiday party
So
for
it's
the fire
closed to the public, just people that are allowed in, whatever.
for the fire department.
Okay, that's fun. Gino, you, and who?
Just me and Gene. They only hired Gino. I brought the speakers, even though Gino had them. He was doing me a favor by giving me time, but
Oh, that.
I brought the speakers. I have a nice 4-speaker system, 2 big ones, 2 small ones. He
Did you
decides.
need that for a bar?
Well, he decided we just needed the 2 big ones. We didn't need the 2 small ones. And then after 5 minutes of silence on the way home, after we both agreed it was the audience's fault, not ours, I went, I think we needed the extra 2 speakers. That was the real problem. And that kind of broke the silence.
Were
But
you mad at each other?
no, not at all. Not at all. It was just one of those where you both just got the shit kicked out of you.
Oh, okay.
We laughed about it a few minutes. No, where you're just like catching your breath, like, oh, fuck me.
What happened?
So we get the speaker set up. I go up. Gino's like, all right, you ready? I'm like, actually, give it a second till the black guy sits back down. He's like, not that I care, but why? I was like, that's how I'm coming out the gate. Now, Gino does something a lot of comedians doing a private who lets somebody else come along that isn't hired. He does something that they don't do. And I believe you do this as well, Pat, which is he goes up and starts the show.
Yeah.
And he, in doing so, in a crowd like that, going in, okay, it's going to be crowd work heavy. Like, it's not going to be a set material. They don't want to hear long jokes. They're not here to hear my musings about Leah Thomas. You know what I mean? They want to hear, oh, this guy looks like he's got this, that stuff. So I've got like 6 in my head ready to go, right? That's a good number. Between that, my material, I do a solid 7, get out of there. In getting the crowd to sit down, Gino hits 5 of the 6 jokes that I was planning to do, which again means it was low-hanging fruit. But if you're warming up a crowd, that's what you want to start with. He addresses the fact that the black guy's sitting up front, but doesn't do the exact joke I'm going to do. So I come out, do that joke, gets a great response. I go do my World Cup joke. I do a couple more crowd things, getting a few, short, 1 or 2. I do my HIV joke. That's real short. And then I go into the World Cup joke, and I'm like, I spell the N-word here. These people are going to carry me out of here. I got one more quick joke, and I'm done, right? It's firefighters. Fucking nothing.
They can't spell.
No, they could spell. No. This was going to be a theme of the night, which was, I think something happened. Because anything got a little racy or a little edgy, everybody went whoop. And so then I tried to do 3 more jokes, like crowd work to nothing. And then I gave the best introduction I've ever gave to a comedian, which was, I told you they were going to fucking hate me, Gene. They hate me. Hope you're ready. And I tossed him the mic.
Nice.
Don't remember doing it, but in hindsight, like, it just was reflex.
Who hired you guys?
The bar, whatever bar it was. Gino's done a bunch of privates for them before.
So the bar was running the private party.
It was basically
so it
like
wasn't
you
the firemen that hired you.
No, but they were cool with it. One of them had seen Gene before, and then it was one of those afterwards where they all came up and were like, "You guys were amazing," and it was like, "You should have told your fucking face then."
Yeah, that happens a lot though when you're in a business type thing. Any
But
kind
this
of work shit, they're worried.
This restaurant, the backdrop is just a giant fireplace at eye level, and I think maybe they were all just having PTSD.
Could be, definitely.
So I did that show. It was terrible. And then Richie Redding hit me up and was like, "Hey man, I've got a spot. It's a guest spot, 2.5 hours away. If you want it, it's yours. Like, you can ride with me." Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you're riding with them.
He was like, "If you want, you can ride with me. I know it's kind of close to your parents, so if you want to go see them, great. No offense here." And basically, I was exhausted because I've been editing a bunch of albums, getting like 3 hours of sleep. On Friday, I don't know if you saw my tweet. Well, you didn't because you don't have Twitter.
Right.
But I had to deal with a rental car situation, which made me drive back to Hershey for no reason, and then back to New York because I had to do stuff. Anyway, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this bar show. I'm like, it's a fucking brewery. 10 people are going to be there, 3 of which know there's comedy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I get there. This place is packed. I drove myself, but this place is packed to a T, and I'm like, let's go. And then I get in the back, and it's Richie and Alex Pavone, and I don't know if you know Alex, but hilarious.
Yeah.
And Richie's warning me. He's like, "Yo, Alex is very funny, so be ready, be ready." And that's when you start to get your juices going because you're not just representing yourself at this point. You're now representing all the comedians these other guys have seen endorse you. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like Richie's seen me when Berg's got me into spots at the stand that I shouldn't have been getting into and things like that. So you're like, all right, I got to
That's a
show
show with two very solid dudes. Like,
exactly. And you're like, it's time to see if you're just belong in the All Star game or if it's all the fact that you play on the Hornets. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Keep our sports analogy going. And he's like, hey, sight unseen, I haven't really seen you do comedy in a while. I know you work with Gino. I just got to tell you, no N words. And I kind of laugh. I go, ha ha.
No, he's probably
Ha.
like, seriously.
No, he's like, yeah, seriously. I not to be rude, but and I was like, okay, what if I spell it? And he and Alex kind of laughed like I laughed and you laughed a second ago, and then didn't answer. And it's like, well, that was a genuine question, but I'm not going to press the issue because then I seem like a lunatic. You're going to get sensitive about my material because you don't know the joke. So I just didn't do it and killed. And then Alex killed, and then Richie killed. It was probably the
Nice.
best show I've done in a couple months, other than that
What was the
Thanksgiving
venue?
show.
Was it like a restaurant? Was it a bar? Was
It was a brewery. It was called Be Here Brewing. And the best part was the guy.
BEE?
No.
Like with honey in the beer?
No, that would have been good.
A lot of breweries
But
do that shit.
the guy who went first was like, hey, I own the brewery and I'm doing comedy and I haven't done it in 8 years. And he just kept coming to us with ideas he had and was like, I don't know if I should do this. And we just kept going, oh, you should. You should definitely do that.
Definitely
And
gonna
he
hump
had
the stool.
he had a real good set though, which was cool. And then during Richie's set, he's like, hey, you want to go do a dab? And I went upstairs and did a dab. And he was like, oh man, are you going to be good to drive? And I was like, yeah. He's like, how are you going to be good to drive on a dab? And you're trying to be polite, like, because he thought it was a big deal to give you one. And finally, I had to be like, I took 7 before I drove here. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
This is my afternoon, but just a real fun time. And
That's good.
then I got to saw Dombrowski do a show Sunday and record his album.
Oh, I saw the pictures of that. Yeah, that
It-
went well.
it was
Gino
great.
hosted
Yeah.
that, right?
Gino hosted. I saw the early show.
Were you
It was
recording
great.
it?
No,
Oh,
I was just watching him. It's gonna be good. Yours is gonna be much better.
How was his how was the turnout?
The 7 o'clock show was sold out. I believe the later show was as well. I
Is
just
that when that club is packed, it's a great place, but when it's not packed, it sounds weird.
and that's why I think he was pushing tickets, but it was packed. It was great. He had a lot of organic moments because his wife's family and his were at the first show, and most of his material is kind of personal.
Right.
So it was cool to have some of those like actual genuine moments. And he was like, I'm trying to just capture like a live club set. And there were several moments that just felt that way. So it was great. Sorry to ramble about him.
No, I like Kevin. I've
Kevin's the
liked him a
man.
time, but Kevin's great. And people, when you hear about his album coming out, listen to it, buy it, any way you can see it, stream it, whatever. He's a fucking funny dude. Check
Kevin's
it out.
one of those guys like you that give guys like me reassurance. Like you get so stressed.
Bald men do that. We feel bad.
Yeah, you do have that dad kind of situation. No, but like where you're like, hey, guys like me tend to be so stressed. Like I have to have a podcast. I have to be getting past these clubs. I have to hang tonight. I have to go do this. And he pulled me aside one time and was like, hey, you stress too much about this stuff. I never hung out. I only did bringer shows. I pretty much did everything they tell you not to do, and I'm doing fine. You're going to figure yourself out if you want to be a comedian. You're the same way. Not in addition to writing a book on how to do it, you also have a very like, hey, it's going to work out attitude, focus on doing the right thing.
And like the clip that they're sharing now that came out a while back, the Bill Burr clip, where he always says, he's like, if things go good, then great. But if they don't, who cares? Like, why would you worry? He goes, you'll make it out of it. And if you don't, then you'll worry about it then. But why worry about it now?
It's amazing how many visionaries like that have said things along those lines. Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. My favorite one though is the Tom Hanks one when he had that actors roundtable thing a couple years ago. And so it's probably not his quote, but he's sitting there with Denzel.
Sure, your son's a wigger. It's your worst fucking nightmare.
He's sitting there with Denzel and De Niro and Adam Sandler and Shia LaBeouf because they were all up for whatever award it was that year. So they're all sitting there, and Tom Hanks just says the greatest thing I've ever learned is this too shall pass. When bad things are happening in your life, when struggles are happening, when you have no money, when you feel like no one loves you, this too shall pass. But when you're killing it, when you're doing great and people are all about you and you have every great moment, this too shall pass. Good, bad, or indifferent, just keep being you. This moment that you think is going to last forever will not, and this too shall pass. Like that's a mindset I've kept for years because it's just like it gets you through shit.
It is a very good mindset. I like that a lot.
That's what a lot of the women think about with James Dean.
Might
He's
not
like,
pass.
this will pass right through you, bitch. You
I'm
know?
gonna pass the fuck out if he doesn't
Yeah.
take his dick out of my throat.
Yeah. Right in my pass hole. This is the worst. But that was your. So you didn't have anything on Saturday. That was Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
Friday was the driving day. The
Nice.
tweet I was telling you about was basically, Ye inspired a lot of conversation.
Yeah,
And
no
so
doubt.
I said, Ye's inspired a lot of people to talk. And one thing I feel like we need to correct everyone is Hitler was not the worst person of all time. There are people worse than Hitler, like Mao Zedong or that fat cunt Lori that works at the Hertz at the Middletown airport.
Nice.
So,
People like that, I'm guessing.
oh, dude, you know how sometimes I have meltdown moments and you're like, you're in the wrong. And I was like, no, I think I was in the right. You want to do one of those moments and see if I was in the right or wrong here? So basically, I rented a car because mine had to go back to the shop.
Oh, the actual thing with the woman. I meant,
Yeah.
was the tweet received okay?
Oh, everybody loved it. They got
cool.
the point.
Now go on to the story.
Several people reached out to Hertz for me, but they're psycho. So anyway, Hertz.
You ever have their pastries?
Psycho Hertz Hertz donut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're great. You want one? You want one? So I decided, I'm doing this show. Why don't I just drop the rental car off Saturday, then go from there? It'll save me a day of driving. I haven't slept. I'm a zombie. So I extended. It's gonna be like $70. That's no big deal. I can handle that. It's a little pricey, but no big deal. It'll save me. The sleep's more important.
Right.
I do it. Then I check the bill, and it's $400 more than it was previously. And I checked the total originally, and it's $700 more than it was supposed to be.
What?
So I call them.
7-0.
No. I'm sorry. It was $700 total. It was supposed to be.
But still,
it was $300 more. It was $300 more total. Like my total bill was $300 more, and then the other one was an additional $300. Anyway, so what happened was, basically, I got insurance through Enterprise, and then no, I got insurance through whatever Expedia. That's the E1 I rented with, and then I get to the dealership. I'm like, hey, I've got this reservation. They're like, no, it's not in the system. Go look. So I go look. I pull it up. I come back in. She's like, oh, the minute you walked away, I figured it out. It was under I because I'm the third. He's like, that happens all the time. And I was like, oh, so we didn't check that when you said there's no reservation here? You didn't think to ask? I didn't say that, but I thought it.
Right.
So then she's like, well, I just gave away the last sedan, so we'll have to give you a SUV. I'm like, all right, no biggie. She's like, do you want the insurance still? I'm like, yeah. Thinking it's the insurance I already paid for. It was additional insurance.
What?
So that's where all this extra $150 to $200 a day came from. And so then I'm calling and going, all right, well, can we figure this out? Because clearly I didn't need double insurance. And she was like, well, no, because you would have to come in and sign a contract adjustment, or you already signed a contract. And I was like, okay, well, what if we get rid of it for today? Can I cancel it for today? She's like, well, you have to sign a contract. I was like, but I extended it without re-signing the contract. She's like, well, that's not how it works. That's in good faith. And I was like, how about you get rid of it in good faith? She was like, no. So basically I talked to my parents and they're like, just bring the car in and we'll fight it on the back end and it'll be fine. So I bring the car in and now I get to talk to Lori face to face.
Nice.
And we know who each other are because we've talked on the phone and I've said some not nice things. And then she goes, sorry again, it's just our policy. And I go, no, I get it. If I look like you, I probably wouldn't be nice to men either.
Ha ha! Take that, bitch.
So that's strike one. She's like, excuse me? I'm like, my bad. So we keep going. Finally, she's like, all right, here's your receipt. And I just act like I'm looking for her name tag. And she's like, what? And I'm like, your name's Lori, right? And she's like, yeah, why? Are you going to report me? I was like, oh, no, I've already done that. I just, when my kids ask why we can't have Christmas this year, I'm going to go because Lori scammed us out of all the money. And she goes, why don't you grow up, sir? You're being really rude. And I was like, all right, my bad. You're right. I do want to say this. I've been kind of mean. A lot of people think if they killed themselves, nobody would care. people would care if you killed yourself.
Yeah,
They'd be incredibly happy. It'd probably be the best Christmas gift you could give all your loved ones. And then I walked out. So I'm probably not going to get the refund, but
No.
was that worth
You're going to get extra
$300?
insurance added onto that in goodness to faith.
You ever have your parents call and be like, please do not do anything that will get you on a no-fly list? You are at an airport.
When you said you ever have your parents, I quote him too much, but Dan Brown has a joke. He goes, "Do you ever have your parents walk in on you having sex with someone else's parents?"
I have heard you quote that. It is a great joke.
But whenever I hear that phrase, I hear it all the fucking time. Now, this question doesn't really mean anything, but for some reason, it'll make more sense in my head if I have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
How did she spell Lori?
Lori.
Yeah. And Laurie is not a bitch. Lori is a bitch.
When you see Lori, it's the same type of white bitch who says things like, I can get into the Christmas spirit whenever I want. Don't tell me when to put up my Christmas tree. And then screams at you to just live in the moment. And you're like, then what's up with the Christmas tree, you dumb bitch?
Well, you knew she was fat because if you take all the letters and move them around, it's Rolly. And she got all those rolls on her. So
I was trying to figure out how you're going to spell Oreo.
how are you spelling fat cunt? Like with an L?
PH?
Here, I'm the PHAT. H is silent, baby. But that it sounds like you had an eventful weekend. That's good. But the comedy was good and the Lori was bad. But that's how the world works. You need both.
Exactly.
I did a lot of comedy last week. Wednesday did an open mic. Thursday did the comic show. That was fine. Whatever. The 10 o'clock thing with Frank. It's good seeing him as always. Friday, like I said, I went up to the Galactica Theater. I saw some comics I hadn't seen before. Some newer ones. It was kind of cool to go see that.
That's pretty cool.
The woman that produced the show, she's a comic. I had helped her out when she first started. She's always working very hard, but she's made like leaps and bounds. And it was cool because like you were saying before, like my certain mindset was shit. One thing I always push with people in comedy is that like comedy gets good once you stop caring. And I don't mean it like as in you don't care about what you're doing, but once you're done worrying about why aren't I on this show? Why didn't I get booked for this? How come that guy gets that? I hope I better do well with this 10 minutes. This 10 minutes is very important because if I do this, then other things will happen. Once you realize none of that matters and you're just working on you, comedy becomes so easy. And then her and I were kind of talking after the show, and she just goes, it's just so great to now feel like that. And I didn't know what you meant before. We had talked years ago. And she's like, it's just now I just go do comedy. Like if I have something to work on, I just fucking work on it. I'm never like, oh my God, if I don't do this 10 minutes right, this person won't book me again. I don't care. It's like
yeah, absolutely. It goes back to like I had a coach, Greg Kratzer, one of my favorite human beings to this day. If I still have something, a crisis of, consciousness or something, I still reach out to him and seek his advice. And the best advice he gave me was, I can externally motivate you to here. But the minute you start internally motivating, there's no ceiling. And it's the same with comedy. Like when you're worried about what's the club going to think of my 10 minutes, I need to make X person happy, or I need to do this with that. The minute you start going, oh, I don't care, so I'm going to make this 10 minutes the best I can for me. That's when you see guys like you just light stages on fire. Something I'm working on. I get there every once in a while.
A torch. It's my closer now. And they're like, oh my God, we're going to die. I'm like, Great White, baby. We're in Rhode Island.
Dude, I wish I could have done that at the fucking fire hall. Yeah. Let's put the skills to the test, assholes.
It's so quick. Fuck, I didn't even get the flame. Like, God damn it. But so that show went really well. It was good to watch. Dan had a good set as normal. Everybody was doing like 10 minutes, and then I was doing like the deal was I think I've said this on here, but I've been taking a bunch of gigs to fill spots and to get ready for the album, to really run the set. I've got everything now. I've got 2 more stories that I've really worked out. One of them well, the other one I got to kind of work on, but everything's ready. If I was going to record tomorrow, I'd be ready with 50 minutes, but I want it to be an hour. So I've got this one other thing I'm working on, but it'll get there. But I've been taking spots that I normally wouldn't take. Because even the girl booking it was like, oh, this probably money-wise and time-wise isn't for you. It's usually a gig that offers only a little bit of money in like 25 minutes. I go, if you'll up it to 30 minutes and up the dollars, a couple bucks, I will come. And as long as I can bring Dan, she's like, that'd be awesome. So, and then everyone else doing their 10-minute sets. So when the shows were going on, I'm like, so we're strict on time. They have to leave. She's like, no, I need all of them to be strict on time because I don't want them, making it so the headliner does less. But you can do whatever you want now. I have that rule because I don't
Feels
usually
good.
book.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't usually book people that have an hour. I usually book people that have 25 to close this. It's like a pseudo headline show.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
I said to the host, I said, hey, can you light me at 25? I'm not good with. Ever since I've been doing this new hour of material, I'm not good with time with it. When I know my shit, I can do it. But when I don't know the order of stuff, I'm bad with time, and it's usually bad on the like I'm a black comic end. It's pretty bad. But so I'm like, so I said, can you light me at 25? And he's like, sure. But I look over like from the side where he has to do it. So like 15 minutes in, there's like a bartender off the side, and he's like doing something, but he has his phone like a light. And I kind of look once, I go, is that the light? And they're like, no. And I'm like, they kind of threw out my head, whatever.
Yeah.
So then the guy goes over and he's just standing there, the host, and I'm like, are you lighting me? And in my head, I'm like, I gotta be close to 25. They brought me out on stage soon. And he's like, no, but I did light you before, but you're fine. I go, oh, you did? Shoot, I better hurry up. And the crowd's great, and I'm having fun and working on stuff, whatever. I get off stage. He goes, do you want to know how much time you did? Like, do you need that for your album thing? I'm like, yeah. What was I, like 35? He's like, you did 58
55.
minutes. 58. I was like, fuck, my bad. He's like, no. And even the girls, like, they're great. The people after the show are so cool. Like, a lot of them go to all this. They do it once a month, shows there. An old man is sitting in the corner, like this like old fisherman looking guy. Everything else was like young hipsters. It was weird, like young people, and then this old man. And he goes, "Come here!" And I'm waiting to get yelled at because I'm saying a lot of crazy
Yeah.
shit. And then he said, "Come here." He goes, "I've been coming to these comedy shows for 3 years. You're the greatest performer to ever walk in these doors." Dan and I just laughing. It's like
That's awesome.
You got something, kid. I'm like, yeah. Like, what does this guy fucking know? And I go, everyone else is the shit. But it was really good. It was fun. And then Saturday, I had the show we were talking about for the fallen firemen who would or policeman. I'm sorry, the fallen policeman that passed away in Bristol. They both got shot on the line of duty, whatever. So I'm on a show where the host I know is a high energy.
Come on, you guys. I'm so confused. Are we supposed to take a knee or not? Okay, when the national anthem plays, if I don't take a knee, I'm a racist. When I'm arresting George Floyd, if I take a knee, I'm a racist. Let's get our story straight.
Now, not everybody here was a policeman, but they were all people that either were there for the cause. Some of them just came to the show, but like some of them were there because they were friends of the family or missed loved ones, or policemen and their families. You know what I mean? There was I think just under 300 people there. A big room. It was a really cool thing set up. The guy who's hosting it is high energy guy, and then there's 3 other comics besides me. One guy, Giancarlo, is a very fucking funny comic. I just found out he's moving to Austin because he wants to get out of here, but he's gonna do well. Second round, he actually knows people, so he got himself. He's already got spots at Creek in the Cave when he gets out there.
So
like
he's in. Yeah, he's
not
got it
in, but he got a thing. And the guy's great writer, but goes very dark with stuff. And I'm like, good because I want to see what he does and what they give him to see where I can go with things, whatever. This other comic, Paul Taro, and Paul's very funny, but Paul does some crazy ass shit too. And then there was this one other female comic, A+ Hollywood, and I don't think I need to describe A+ Hollywood. She didn't do that
I've got
great.
an idea.
The only problem she had was that she went up and did tell a story about how cops pulled her over. We're all like, weird call. Weird call. You know what I mean? But like, whatever. So, but before the show starts, my buddy Dion came with me to the show, and we get there, the place is packed, whatever. A couple people knew who I was, which is like with the Chaz and AJ thing that's starting to happen a little bit in the area, which is cool, but still weird. And so like, but like one lady was like, she's like talking to the girlfriend of the guy who runs it. They're running it together. And so she's like, are the comics funny? And she's like, well, the headliner's right there. And she goes, well, take a picture with me. And I go, what? I haven't performed yet. Do you want to wait? What if you get a picture?
You want to know?
And I stink. Like, you don't want that picture. She goes, I can just delete it. And I go, okay, that's fair. And she just goes, no, I'll take a picture with you. And as she puts her arm around me, she goes, are you nervous? And I went, I'm a little bit. I've actually never done comedy before. This is my first time. And the girl who's running it is like laughing, and she's seen me before many times. She's like, oh. She goes, hopefully he does well. And then that woman walked away. The show goes without a hitch. It's great. They even did an intermission, which I don't usually like, but it made sense in this. And they actually handled it really well. This whole raffle tickets, a cigarette break, but everybody came right back to their seats.
We call that the EDR bread and butter.
But yeah, usually I don't like those things at all. Like, I like that all at the end, but whatever. But I like the momentum of shows. But everybody did great. Even the guys who would dart, the crowd was awesome. They were fun. I was running a lot of my stories. Everything's working good. And didn't know what to do with the order of it because the way it was. So I kind of like did some things out of order. So at the end, even though, like I said, everyone else did like 15 and I did almost an hour. So they were tired. It was a longer show. So at the end, even though they're laughing, you feel that little lack of
You feel the
energy
lack of
just
it,
in
yeah.
everybody. They're not, no one's not having a good time. It's just a long night.
It's
And
been
they
a
were there
4-hour day, yeah.
they were there at 6 o'clock for a show starts at 8 to eat food and stuff and everything. And then the show starts at 8-ish, 8:15, intermission with all that. I got off stage at 10:30. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a long night. So after the show, people are coming up. You're great. Thank you. You know, and the one that we're not always used to, it's a tough one. It's like women kind of like crying, like, "Hey, we really needed a laugh. That was my brother, my cousin." And it's like they give you a hug. They're like, "Thank you so much for doing this." And you know, in reality, you're doing it just for the money and the paycheck, but you do appreciate the moment. And I even
Yeah, and you're just disappointed it wasn't a wife. So you could be like, well, at least he's not hitting you anymore.
nah, that wasn't the line I was gonna go with, but so this big burly fucking looks like you know, like a background character of like Sons of Anarchy type fucking guy comes up.
I know the type.
Like he's a cop, but he's a biker. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, like the salt and pepper hair type shit. Where big fucking guy.
Back in my day, perps like you didn't get arrested. We
Right.
cleaned your bodies off the street. Like God decided. Yeah.
Throws his arm on me, gives me a slap. He's like, I really like your storytelling. You did well. You know, like it was really great. My energy, my face was hurting. You really drifted off at the end. You really didn't handle your whole set well. But in the beginning, you did fine. I'm kind of like, I want to fucking yell at this guy, like, fuck off. But like, it's for a call. I don't know who he is, whatever. So, and I know they're all cops too, but like, what am I going to do? I mean, I know Dion's got a gun, but they have all the guns. So it's not going to help me. So
Dion's got a gun.
Always. Well, even Dion goes, should I bring it in? I go, well, they all have them. He goes, I should bring it in.
He's the wrong color, so they'll have some fun.
So they, he's white. Anyway, so, so the guy's like, I'm like, I just went, yeah, man, I know what I'm fucking doing. Have a good night. Thanks. And he just goes, no, I tried. I was just saying, it drifted off at the end. So I was kind of bothered by that. He wasn't an asshole, but I wasn't being a dick either. I was just kind of like,
I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
I'm not going to let you fucking just talk to me like that. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. I just did something. I just did well. Fuck off. So anyway, we're leaving. We're in the car. Dion and I are kind of joking about the guy saying that. It's like, what the fuck, whatever. I get home. The show's over. I'm watching TV. Dion texts me and goes, hey, what if that guy is dating that woman that you told it was your first time? And I went, what? And he goes, oh, fuck. He's like, maybe that guy said that because he was helping you because you told a fucking woman like an idiot it was your first time. That could have been the case. And the guy was trying to. I'm like, yeah, it might not be the case, but I was like, dude, fuck you.
It's funny if it is, yeah.
It's just like, fuck you, Dion. I wish your head hurt again when you can't think anymore.
Well, shut up, you're concussed.
But it was a really cool show to do, a fun weekend of stuff. And I'm happy with the way everything's going. Anyone that's thinking of coming to the show in February, you and I are on. I'm very happy with it. I do have a joke now that is getting me response. I hate you. You probably have it. You probably with one or two of your jokes. I've had it with every album I've done. There's one joke where I don't mean to, where people come up and say a part of the joke at you afterwards because it kind of like I had a joke where it was like
I spell a word and then they say it to me.
There you go. That's not fun. It's like I said I had a joke with my first album that where a woman said good try to people. And and they would come up to me and go, good try, you know, like whatever, that kind of thing. I have a joke now where I talk about, and I'm not spoiling, I don't give a fuck. I tell it better than I'm saying it here. I really can't do that. I can't tell it, it'll spoil it. No, it's not the delivery. We're just talking.
Sometimes you tell a story and you do it like you do it on stage and your co-host calls you out on it.
And then it's like, all
right, Bob, we don't need the throwaway tags.
Yeah. What are we doing? It's like fucking hitting each thing. It's like, Pat, you're supposed to laugh, wait, recoil, come out. It's like, but,
your timing is literally the same.
Yes.
So you just took a sip from your goddamn water bottle.
I know. Why won't he light me? Like, what the fuck are we doing? It's like,
but the light bat.
I have a joke where I say that I use the slogan from the Special Olympics. After the race, everybody gets a hug. It's something repeated. It's actually got 2 callbacks in the hour.
That's awesome,
and it works. But afterwards, people go, I either get, hey, after the race, everyone gets a hug, or worse, you want a hug? That's a lot that's happening.
You want a hug is not bad.
No,
That's at least them playing along.
no, and Dan is just laughing because he knows I don't. People are like, you want to hug? But they're drunk. And I'm like, fuck, no hugs. But like, whatever. But it was
We gotta
awesome. It
sell
was a lot of
shirts
fun.
that say that.
Between that and being on the radio, it's been a lot of fucking fun to keep my mind busy and happy and all that kind of shit. And then this week I don't have anything in the week. I have shit, but not comedy. I don't have this week. I have Friday, I'm doing the Chaz and AJ toy drive. That's 5:30 to 10 a.m. Saturday, I'm on the air just doing my shift from like 10 a.m. to 3. But I have shows. Thursday, I'm at City Steam doing a showcase. And
That's
then
the one I was thinking of.
Sunday, I'm headlining comics with 2 other Connecticut comedians opening for me on Sunday. So I have shows and fun things. It's just not
That's awesome,
weekend
man.
stuff. But I could use the rest. I have shit I have to get. There's shit I have to get done that I just like today. You and I were texting back. We'll close up the show soon, but like I'm getting very. I'm so run down from like the weird hours of doing radio. That one morning I'm up at 4 a.m. The next day I'm doing comedy and getting home at 2 a.m. They're not combining into each other, but it's getting so crazy that like today at one point I was like, oh man, I gotta start doing stuff. It's gotta be like 10:30, 11 o'clock. It was 3 p.m. It was
That's when I texted you. Yeah.
I was just like, I go, a couple hours. I'll give my kids a call because my daughter gets home from work at a certain time, and Seamus has like a half-hour window in between like school and then wrestling. So like, I was like, and I'm like, I'll call them a couple hours. Once you text him, but fuck, I
gotta hit the ground running. Yeah,
I just missed Seamus, so I was like, fuck, I gotta do that, whatever. But like, it is what it is. But yeah, it's been a fun bunch of shit. So, but in between, I'm just watching Troll, which is the greatest movie of all time. So everyone should watch Troll.
Yeah. I've been watching My Hero Academia.
Yeah,
that's the show I've been into. Oh, cool. Well, you'll get my metaphor for after the show.
I'll get some of it. My kids love it. I watch it along with them when they watch it, but I don't watch that one myself too much.
You at least understand the universe, but I've been doing that, but like the lack of a consistent schedule, the number of times I've had to send my lady friend like, "We're okay, right?" And she's like, "Yes." Period. Why? And you're like, "Just because it feels weird. I want to make sure."
So how are you fucking that up long distance?
I'm not.
Just asking that. Are we okay? How would you know? You never seen her.
Well, this has been the POS show. No. It's good that it's long distance, right? Because then I can do things like other people's podcasts, and then they don't get angry.
You can just do things like never cuddle.
You're like, why am I asking if we're okay? Because it's been 6 months since I've seen your naked body, so let's get on it.
I also think it's like, here's me making a joke, but then I'm like, oh shit, tomorrow Chaz and AJ, now I have to go take the Uber right from the radio station to therapy. Because I need to be alone for the rest of my life.
It's not the worst outcome.
It's not the worst. It's working out just fine. I had enough together time. I'm making up for. I've only lived alone for like out of my whole life, like maybe 5 years out of 48.
That's not enough.
So
yeah, enjoy it.
I got to catch up.
Go watch some wrestling. I'm gonna let you go.
Always. But yes, Bobby, you got anything you got to promote, push, all that shit?
Friday I'm with EDR somewhere in Pennsylvania. So if you feel like coming to that, let me know and we'll work it out. Be on the lookout for some things, maybe Bobby's World related, coming out relatively soon. And check out the Dave Max Sports program, as always. We had Bronx Johnny on. And while you're at it, check out That's Hot with Sabrina Piper. Who was her guest this week? It's your boy, Bobby. Watch me be as autistic as I possibly can to someone I find attractive.
Nice.
And then halfway through, realize I've been doing that and overcompensate by just lighting myself on fire for the next 45 minutes. Nice. Enjoy.
Yeah, this isn't going to come out tomorrow. So what I got? Oh, you know what? If you're in Western Mass, you can see me and Bobby on New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah,
at JJ's Tavern in Florence, Mass. Tickets are $50, but you get dinner, you get champagne, you get all that shit. Me, Bobby, and Timothy Lovett is a very funny guy. If you want details, just hit me up for that stuff. But I've
heard you're gonna love it.
I've heard that you're gonna love it too. I haven't heard that I'm gonna love it, but I've heard that you will. February 17th and 18th, City Steam. I'm recording my album. Please be there. Me, Bobby, Darren Rivera. It's going to be great. I'll be doing, if people live in Connecticut, I'll be doing some radio for that. Not only the one I'm always on, But and I don't know if it's gonna go poorly. A guy who used to work for PLR, who now works at a station in Hartford area, Rock 104, Radio 104, hit me up and goes, "You want to come on and promote that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you allowed to?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not contract. I'm a comedian. I'm allowed to do whatever." But
Yeah.
let's just see if it does cause some shit. Who knows? But either way, that'll be later on. I'm gonna go on
It's a
there.
good way to find out your worth.
I'm gonna go on there in 2 weeks just to help promote another show I've got going on. My next show in Derby. I've been putting on the once a month. We took December off, but we got one in January where Frank Mergallo will be on the show,
Oh,
and
shit.
AJ from Chaz and AJ will be on the show. So it'll be really
Oh,
nice.
shit.
Look at me. I'll be the young guy. So it's fine. It's like we got a
We're
60 year
ready to
old,
die
an 80
tour.
year old. And I think the woman on it is also in her 40s. Like, yeah, this ain't no young pups. I'll put one young guest spot on just to make him feel awkward and weird.
That 14-year-old kid.
I don't think I can afford him anymore. I think he's fucking huge.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. But besides that, please, as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And for the holiday season, it'd be nice if you went over on Patreon, spend a couple bucks. I think give us a gift. Go over there, try us out for a month. We put some good stuff out there. Like I just put out today, recording it. I just released the episode of Brandon Smith. That was a great one. Just put on YouTube today. It's been sitting there for a couple days on Patreon. You would have already seen it already.
Could have been
I
there.
put it out. You could have checked it. Could have been so beautiful. Could have been so right. So I'm quoting Tiffany at the end. But so
I think we're alone now.
doesn't seem to be anyone around. But the feeling in the heart is the only sound. But the now I can't fucking do anything but think about Tiffany because I have ADHD. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, and her mom took her to the mall to sing a song about getting molested.
Yes.
Well, it's a lose-lose situation. I wonder why she got famous.
To be fair, my mom did that with me too. She's like, "Sing the song." I'm like, "I got touched in the butt." And they're like, "This song's not gonna make it." It's like, I'm not a good writer. I don't know what to do.
You could have been Tiffany, Patrick.
But I named you wrong. Tiffany Patrick. That's a crazy name.
It's also as Irish as Pat Oates.
Right. Or also, it's either as Irish as Pat Oates or a black woman on BET. Like, either one word. It's me, Tiffany Patrick. But Tiffany's got 4 Z's in it. It's a whole different name. And on that racist note, goodbye, everybody. Yes, Bobby, say your thing.
If you can't, bye.
You've never gotten this right.